Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our English Conversation podcast, where you improve your listening skills, expand your vocabulary, and build your confidence through natural, realistic conversations. Today's topic is one that often creates interesting discussions and different opinions around the world. Imagine you've just finished a wonderful first date. You enjoyed the conversation, laughed together, learned about each other's lives, and maybe even started thinking about meeting again. Then the waiter places the bill on the table. Suddenly, one simple question appears. Who should pay? Should one person pay for everything? Should both people split the bill equally? Does the answer depend on culture, personal values, or the situation? Is there a right answer? Or is it simply about communication and mutual respect? In today's episode, we'll explore this topic from different perspectives. Remember, we're not trying to decide one universal rule. Instead, we'll discuss the reasons behind different opinions while practicing natural English. So get comfortable, relax, and enjoy today's conversation. Emily, I think today's topic is something almost everyone has experienced or at least thought about. Whether someone has been on one date or 100 dates, eventually the bill arrives and people begin wondering what the polite thing to do is. Some people become nervous because they don't want to offend the other person, while others already know exactly what they believe is the best approach. It's interesting how one small moment at the end of dinner can reveal so much about culture, personality, expectations, and communication.
I completely agree, James. What's fascinating is that people from different countries often have very different expectations. In some cultures, it's considered traditional for one person, often the person who invited the other, to pay the entire bill. In other places, splitting the bill is seen as a sign of equality and independence. Neither approach is automatically right or wrong. The important thing is understanding that people bring different experiences and values into a relationship, and those differences deserve respect rather than judgment.
That's a great point. I also think many people worry too much about following an unwritten rule instead of focusing on the quality of the date itself. If two people spent 2 hours enjoying meaningful conversation, laughing together, and getting to know each other, it would be unfortunate if the entire evening became memorable only because of an awkward discussion about the bill. Good communication can usually prevent that kind of misunderstanding.
Exactly. Sometimes people assume that paying for dinner sends a particular message. One person may see paying as an expression of generosity, while another person may feel more comfortable contributing because they want the relationship to begin as equals. The challenge isn't really about the money. It's about making sure both people feel respected and comfortable with the decision.
Let's imagine a situation. A man invites a woman to dinner. He chose the restaurant, made the reservation, and suggested the date. When the bill arrives, he naturally reaches for it because, in his mind, inviting someone includes paying for the meal. He isn't trying to impress anyone or create a sense of obligation. He's simply doing what he believes is polite.
Now let's imagine the same situation from the other perspective. The woman genuinely appreciates his kindness, but she also values independence. She offers to split the bill because she wants to contribute and show that she doesn't expect someone else to pay for everything. Her offer isn't a rejection of his generosity. It's simply her way of expressing respect and fairness.
What's interesting is that both people have good intentions, yet they could still misunderstand each other if they never talk about it. He might think she's refusing his kindness, while she might worry that refusing to contribute makes her seem ungrateful. That's why it's so important not to make assumptions about what the other person is thinking.
Absolutely. Relationships often become stronger when people communicate openly instead of expecting others to read their minds. Even something as simple as saying, "I'd be happy to pay this time, but I'm also comfortable splitting it if you prefer," creates a relaxed atmosphere where both people feel included in the decision.
Some people argue that splitting the bill is always the fairest option because each person pays for what they enjoyed. At first, that sounds completely reasonable, but do you think fairness always means dividing everything exactly in half?
Not necessarily. Fairness sometimes means considering the situation rather than applying the same rule every time. Imagine one person is a university student working part-time, while the other has a successful career and invited them to an expensive restaurant. In that case, insisting on an equal split might actually make the student uncomfortable. A thoughtful conversation about the situation may be more considerate than following a strict rule.
That's a thoughtful way of looking at it. Sometimes fairness isn't only about numbers, it's also about empathy. Understanding another person's circumstances can lead to a decision that feels comfortable for both people, rather than focusing only on mathematical equality.
Modern dating has changed in many ways. People today often value equality, independence, and shared responsibility. Because of that, many couples naturally choose to split expenses, especially during the early stages of getting to know each other. They see it as a practical decision that allows both people to contribute without creating unnecessary expectations.
At the same time, many people still enjoy traditional gestures. Some enjoy treating another person to dinner simply because they like expressing generosity. Others appreciate receiving that gesture with gratitude. As long as neither person feels pressured or uncomfortable, there's nothing wrong with either approach.
Exactly. Respect matters much more than following a specific dating rule. Two people may happily split the bill. Another couple may decide that one person pays today and the other pays next time. Both approaches can work beautifully if they reflect mutual understanding.
One thing I often hear people say is that the most uncomfortable part isn't actually paying. It's the silence that sometimes happens when the waiter places the bill on the table. Both people hesitate, wondering what the other person expects.
That awkward silence can usually be avoided with a simple conversation. Instead of waiting nervously, one person can smile and say something like, "What would you feel most comfortable doing?" That question immediately removes the pressure because it invites both people to share their thoughts honestly.
I like that approach because it turns a potentially uncomfortable moment into another opportunity for communication. After all, if two people hope to build a healthy relationship, being able to discuss simple decisions respectfully is actually a very positive sign.
Sometimes people wonder whether paying the bill creates expectations. Personally, I believe kindness should never come with conditions. If someone chooses to pay, it should be because they genuinely wanted to do something thoughtful, not because they expect anything in return.
I completely agree. A dinner is simply a meal shared between two people who are getting to know each other. Respect, honesty, and mutual consent should always remain separate from who pays. Generosity is meaningful only when it's freely given without expecting a reward.
Exactly. The healthiest relationships are built on mutual appreciation rather than obligation. Whether someone pays for dinner or the bill is divided equally, both people should leave feeling respected, comfortable, and excited about the possibility of seeing each other again.
So after everything we've discussed today, I don't think there's one perfect answer to the question, should you split the bill on a first date? Different cultures, different personalities, different financial situations, and different values all influence the decision.
I agree completely. Instead of asking, what's the one correct rule, perhaps a better question is, what decision allows both people to feel respected and comfortable? That answer may be different for every couple, and that's perfectly okay.
Dating isn't about following a strict list of rules. It's about learning about another person, communicating honestly, showing kindness, and treating each other with respect. If those qualities are present, the decision about the bill becomes much less important.
Exactly. At the end of the day, people usually remember the conversation, the laughter, and the connection far more than they remember who paid for dinner. A respectful and enjoyable experience leaves a much stronger impression than the final receipt.
What do you think? If you were on a first date, would you prefer to split the bill, take turns paying, or have one person pay for the entire meal? There isn't one universal answer, and that's what makes this topic so interesting. Different people, cultures, relationships often have different expectations, and respectful communication is often the best way to understand each other. We hope today's conversation helped you improve your English while also giving you something interesting to think about. As you listened, you practiced useful vocabulary related to dating, relationships, culture, communication, fairness, generosity, and respect, all through natural English conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, continue practicing by listening again, repeating the longer sentences aloud, and noticing how ideas flow naturally from one speaker to the other. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, keep speaking, and remember that every conversation is another opportunity to grow your confidence in English. Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.